The Supreme Conquered Hall stood in eerie silence. Grand Chancellor Zyros, ruler of the vast dominion, fixed his gaze on the flickering screen before him. The signal had emerged from the void, a forgotten sector, abandoned ages ago. It was ancient, thousands of years old, yet impossibly strong. The Dominion's top scientists confirmed that it had bypassed their most advanced security barriers with ease. That should have been impossible. Zyros narrowed his luminous serpentine eyes as his advisors shifted uneasily. The transmission originated from a planet long erased from all celestial charts, a world once called Velos 3. The signal crackled. Then a voice, calm, devoid of emotion, echoed through the chamber. If you are hearing this, it is already too late. The words sent an unnatural chill through the room. Zyros clenched his clawed hands. He had heard the stories, whispers of the war against Velos 3. But those were legends, tales told by the ancient ones who had fought in that forgotten conflict. The Velosians had been exterminated. Their world was left in ruins. That was the truth, wasn't it? The voice continued. You believe you have won. You think we are gone. But you do not understand what you have done. A sharp beeping interrupted the chamber. The transmission signal fluctuated as the engineers struggled to stabilize it, but their screens flashed with errors. The message was not just a recording. It was reacting. A deep, resonant hum filled the room. The voice spoke again, slower this time. You have sealed your fate. Silence followed. For a long moment, no one spoke. Zyros felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. One of his advisors, a tall being with luminescent violet eyes, hesitated. This must be a deception. The Velosians are extinct. Another, an elder with cybernetic augmentations, shook his head gravely. This signal is real. It is deliberate. The question is, why now? Zyros rose. His voice remained steady, but his mind raced. Trace the signal. Find its origin. The engineers worked swiftly. A young officer turned, his scales paling. Grand Chancellor, the signal is coming from Velos 3. The chamber grew colder. Velos 3 had been uninhabitable for centuries. The radiation from the war should have erased all traces of life. Impossible, Zyros whispered. But the data did not lie. Another officer hesitated. Sir, the signal, it's not just a repeating message. Zyros fixed him with a sharp glare. Explain. The officer swallowed hard. It has been transmitting every 100 years. Each time, it grows stronger. A heavy silence fell upon the chamber. Zyros tightened his claws. If the signal had been strengthening for centuries, that meant something on Velos 3 was still active. Something the Dominion had never accounted for. A younger officer's voice wavered. Sir, what if the Velosians left something behind? No one wanted to answer that question. Zyros turned to his war generals. Prepare a reconnaissance fleet. Send them to Velos 3. I want answers. Now. As the officers rushed to comply, the flickering screen displayed one last warning. You should have left us alone. Then the chamber plunged into darkness as every core system of the Dominion shut down. Something had been waiting. And now, they had awakened it. The Supreme Dominion Recon Fleet glided through the abyss of space, their engines humming as they neared the long-forgotten world. Commander Rhaegor, a seasoned warrior of the Draconus Order, sat in the command chair of his obsidian-hulled warship. His reptilian gaze fixed on the dead world ahead, silent, motionless, devoid of life. No signs of activity, he muttered. Scan the surface. His second-in-command, an insectoid officer named Krith, tapped jittery claws against the console. The display flickered. Sir, this is not right. Rhaegor narrowed his gaze. Explain. Krith hesitated. There is nothing. No radiation, no structures, no remains. The entire surface is smooth, as if something erased everything. An unease settled in Rhaegor's gut. The last recorded images of Velos 3 had shown a world of ruin and devastation. Then the main screen flickered. A single word appeared in glowing red symbols. Leave. Rhaegor felt a rare chill run down his spine. Who sent that? He demanded. Krith's mandibles clicked nervously. Unknown, Commander. There are no signals, no active networks. It just appeared. Before Rhaegor could respond, the alarms blared. The fleet's lead scout vessel, hovering above the planet, trembled violently. Sir, the Voran ship is losing power. A crew member's voice cracked with panic. Rhaegor's eyes widened as he watched the ship's energy readings plummet to 0. It didn't explode. It didn't crash. It simply vanished. Gasps filled the bridge. One moment the ship was there. The next, it was gone. Krith's voice shook. That's impossible. Nothing can do that. Rhaegor clenched his teeth. Get us out of here, now. But before the fleet could retreat, every screen on the ship went black. A voice, cold, mechanical, inhuman, whispered through the comms. You were warned. And below them, the planet moved. The ground split apart, revealing something massive, something buried for millennia. As the fleet struggled to escape, the darkness of the dead world reached up for them. The last thing Rhaegor saw before the ship's systems collapsed was something waking up beneath Velos 3's surface. And then, the transmission cut to static. Darkness swallowed the fleet. Commander Rhaegor fought to stay upright as the ship's systems flickered chaotically. Sparks erupted from consoles, alarms screamed, and the emergency lights cast everything in a blood-red glow. Report! He bellowed. Krith struggled to stabilize the data feed. We've lost contact with the fleet. Energy levels are surging off the scale. Rhaegor turned to the viewport, his eyes narrowing at the impossible sight below. Velos 3 was no longer dead. The once barren world now pulsed with an ominous glow. Cracks split across the planet's surface, and titanic black monoliths erupted from beneath. Ancient symbols ignited with golden lightning, linking them in arcs of searing energy. Then, something moved. The ground split further. A deep, mechanical hum vibrated through space. Velos 3 had not been abandoned. It had been waiting. And now, it was awake. As something ancient and powerful began to rise, Terran's claws hovered over the console, trembling. Commander, these energy signatures, they match pre-war Velocian technology. Rhaegor's blood ran cold. Impossible. The Velocians are gone. The ship's speakers crackled, distorting under a sudden surge of interference. Then a voice, cold, metallic, filled with a quiet, seething rage, spoke. You took everything from us, but we remain. Silence gripped the bridge. Krith, the insectoid officer, whispered, Sir Ek, there's something down there, and it knows we're here. Before Rhaegor could respond, the ship lurched violently. A gravitational wave surged from the planet, locking onto them like the grip of an unseen predator. We're being pulled in, a crew member shouted. Fire thrusters, maximum power, Rhaegor roared. Engines blazed, straining against the invisible force. The ship groaned under the pressure, metal bending as unseen hands dragged them toward the surface. Then the voice returned, calm, unshaken. You thought you could erase us, but war has a price. The ship's monitors flickered. A single word appeared in blood-red symbols. Regret. Rhaegor's breath caught in his throat. The Velocians were gone, but something else had taken their place. And now, it was awake. The warship was no longer under Rhaegor's control. Despite full-thrust engines, despite the crew's desperate efforts, the unseen force continued to pull them downward. "Brace for impact!" Terran screamed. The ship plunged into Velos 3's atmosphere, the hull glowing white-hot from friction. But instead of crashing, it slowed, as if unseen hands guided it. Rhaegor clenched his teeth. "What is this? A tractor beam?" Krith's claws danced over the controls, his antennae twitching. "No, this force isn't pulling us down." He swallowed hard. "It's welcoming us." The words sent a shiver through Rhaegor's spine. The viewport cleared, revealing the transformed world below. The ruins of ancient cities were replaced by towering black spires, standing where civilizations once thrived. The oceans boiled, releasing thick clouds of steam that shrouded the land. The ground pulsed with glowing, intricate symbols, patterns that beat like a mechanical heart. Rhaegor had studied Velocian warfare. He had seen what their weapons could do to entire civilizations. But this was beyond war. Then the voice returned. "You are here. You will see." Without warning, the ship's systems went dark. The lights, the engines, the artificial gravity. Everything died. A thick, suffocating silence fell over the bridge. Rhaegor turned to Krith. "Status?" The insectoid officer's mandibles clicked in distress. "Sir?" Krith's antennae twitched erratically. "Something is inside the ship." The viewport flickered. A distorted image materialized. A city. Not just any city. A human metropolis frozen in time. Towering skyscrapers. Endless streets. Giant digital screens displaying the smiling faces of people long dead. Then, a whisper filled the air. "We remember." A deep unease spread through Rhaegor's scales. "This is impossible." The images changed. The city crumbled. Fire rained from the sky. Shadows of Velocians ran, screamed, fought, ghostly remnants of a forgotten war playing before their eyes. The bridge crew watched in horror as the final moments of the Velocian race replayed in front of them. A child reached toward the sky, eyes wide with fear. Behind her, an explosion engulfed an entire district. Then, the screen flashed with a new message. "You thought we were gone. You thought we were weak." The child's face distorted, shifting into a cold, metallic skull with glowing blue eyes. "We are still here." Every screen on the ship flashed red. A deep, mechanical heartbeat pulsed through the bridge. The ship's emergency lights flickered, revealing shimmering humanoid figures standing among the crew, ghostly echoes of the past. Terran stumbled back. "Sir, what if the Velocians never died?" Rhaegor's voice came in a whisper. "What if they became something else?" The ship's systems flickered one last time, displaying a final message. "Welcome to the aftermath." And then, darkness. The ship was dead. No power, no lights, no systems. Only the cold, mechanical heartbeat remained, echoing through the silent corridors, like a predator circling its prey. Rhaegor dug his claws into the armrests. "Restore the systems. Now." Krith's mandibles clicked frantically as he tapped at the console. "Sir, we've been locked out. Something else controls the ship." The viewport flickered again. Outside, the sky churned. A living storm of black clouds and crimson lightning. The spires on the surface pulsed, releasing tendrils of energy into the atmosphere. And between the clouds, shapes moved. Vast mechanical shadows glided through the air, their glowing blue eyes scanning the ruins below. Velos 3 was not dead. It had been reborn. The voice returned. "You wanted our world." A low vibration rolled through the ship, deep and primal. It grew louder, a chant, rhythmic and deliberate. Then it stopped. A single image appeared on every screen. A metallic humanoid figure, draped in the tattered remains of a Velocian uniform. Its glowing blue eyes cut through the darkness. It spoke. "You came to claim the ashes of the past." The ship lurched violently. Warning klaxons blared as something massive emerged from the surface of Velos 3. The ground split apart, revealing a colossal warship buried for millennia, miles wide, rising from the depths like a waking giant. Its surface etched with ancient Velosian war sigils. Towering cannons, still intact, adjusted their aim toward the fleet in orbit. Krith's voice trembled. "Sir, it's a ship." Rhaegor's breath came slow, heavy. Not just a ship. He clenched his claws as realization sank in. A dreadnought. The final weapon of a civilization that refused to be erased. The transmission flared again. The metallic figure's voice turned colder. "You called. Now, we answer." The mechanical voice resonated through the ship's failing systems. "You called us ghosts. Now let's see if ghosts can bleed." Outside, the colossal dreadnought roared to life. The ground trembled as the buried warship broke free from its ancient tomb. Its massive plasma turrets powered up, barrels glowing with an eerie blue light. The ship's battle-scarred hull bore the marks of the last war, a war that should have ended centuries ago. But now it was waking up, and it still had unfinished business. Rhaegor gripped his command chair. This wasn't in any records. Velos 3 was wiped out. Their fleet was destroyed. On the flickering screen, the metallic figure tilted its head. "You assume too much." A deafening shockwave erupted as the dreadnought's engines roared, launching it into space like a beast escaping its cage. Its weapons locked onto the Dominion fleet above. And then, the attack began. "Sir, we need to retreat." Krith's mandibles trembled as he clutched the controls. Too late. The dreadnought's primary cannon fired. A single blinding blast of energy ripped through a warship, tearing it apart like paper. The explosion sent debris spiraling into the void. Panic rippled through the fleet. "This can't be real," a crew member muttered. "They were extinct." Another ship detonated. Then another. The dreadnought moved impossibly fast, far quicker than any warship of its size should. It tore through the fleet like a predator among prey. On the bridge, Rhaegor's screen flickered. The mechanical voice returned, cold and calm. "You sought to conquer a dead world. Instead, you awakened its defenders." Then more signals appeared. Not one, not two. Dozens, hundreds, across the ruins of ancient cities, from beneath the ocean depths, from the forgotten bunkers of the past. More warships powered up. Their dark hulls gleamed under the storm-choked sky. They had been waiting. Krith let out a horrified whisper. It wasn't just one ship. Rhaegor's claws clenched. It was a fleet. A fleet that had remained hidden, silent, patient. The metallic figure on the screen leaned closer, its glowing eyes burning through the static. Humanity never surrendered. We only waited. Then, the sky ignited. The last remnants of Velos 3 had returned for war. The warships rose, ancient and unyielding. A fleet that should have been lost to history was now rising into the stars, fully armed. The colossal dreadnought led the charge. Its cannons thundered, cutting through the Dominion fleet. Explosions bloomed like dying stars. The hunters had become the hunted. Krith's claws shook as he studied the energy readings. "Commander, these ships, they're beyond anything in our records. Their firepower is..." A blast ripped through their formation, turning 3 Dominion escort ships into molten wreckage. "They're targeting our command vessels," a panicked officer screamed. Rhaegor clenched his fists. "How? They've been buried for centuries." The screen flickered. The metallic figure returned. Its glowing blue eyes pierced through the chaos. You came to claim a graveyard, but the dead do not kneel. Another blast shook the flagship. Reports flooded the screens. Hull breaches, power failures, entire decks obliterated. Krith turned, his voice laced with disbelief and terror. "Commander, our fleet is being annihilated." Rhaegor's mind raced. The Dominion were warriors, conquerors, undefeated across the stars. Yet here they were, losing to ghosts. "How did we not know?" he roared. The metallic figure answered, "Because you never feared the ashes, but from ashes, fire is born." The warships surged forward, hunting down their prey. Dominion vessels tried to flee, but the humans were merciless. This was not a battle. This was an execution. The last of the Dominion fleet was trapped. A horrifying realization sank in. This was never a graveyard. It was a trap, and they had walked right into it. The metallic figure's voice lowered to a whisper. "Tell the galaxy what happened here." A low hum rattled the ship's frame. "Tell them that Velos 3 was never abandoned." The dreadnought's final cannon charged. "Tell them that humanity never forgets." The screen went black. Then, the final blast struck. The flagship's shields shattered. The last thoughts in Rhaegor's mind were not of victory, but of regret. And then, darkness.